What would you do with millions of dollars overnight? Whatever your answer, it's probably smarter than what these lottery winners did. From falsely claiming tickets to buying land on the moon, these winners' stories prove that sometimes the biggest losers are those who win big. Let's dive into these cautionary tales of lottery luck gone laughably wrong. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel. Number 1. David Copeland. Ever wonder what you'd do if you won £1 million? Maybe buy a mansion? A flashy sports car? Well, our next lottery winner had some, shall we say, out-of-this-world ideas. Meet David Copeland, who struck gold with a whopping $1 million jackpot back in 2000. But if you're expecting tales of lavish spending and wild parties, you're in for a surprise. This modest millionaire from rural Hertfordshire chose a rather unusual path after his big win. While most winners pop champagne from fancy French vineyards, David celebrated with supermarket bubbly before making what might be the most peculiar purchase in lottery history. He bought land on the moon. Yes, you heard that right. Not satisfied with earthly real estate, David splashed $120,000 on property across the Moon, Venus, and Mars. Talk about a long-term investment. But don't think David's life is all about bizarre space purchases. This down-to-earth millionaire still enjoys the simple pleasures in life, like baked beans for dinner. 22 years after his big win, David remains refreshingly frugal, upgrading from his 1960s two-bedroom to a modest four-bedroom semi-detached house for $190 to $500. His few splurges? Flying on the supersonic Concorde twice before it was retired. In 2003, enjoying annual cruises and treating himself to front-row seats at Jane McDonald's cabaret shows. Not exactly the wild spending we'd expect from a lottery winner. Perhaps most surprising of all, David eventually went back to work. Instead of lounging around counting his cosmic property deeds, he trained as a driving instructor and now works as a 22-an-hour chauffeur for hire, driving the high society folks around town. As David puts it, winning the lottery just gave me freedom to choose what to do. Clearly, what he chose was to keep his feet firmly on the ground, even if his property portfolio extends to other planets. Unlike our next lottery winner from Georgia, who funded a crystal meth ring with his winnings, yikes. David proves that sometimes the most unexpected thing a lottery winner can do is absolutely nothing extravagant at all. Number 2. Willie Hurt. Talk about going from riches to rags in record time. In 1989, Willie Hurt seemed to have it all when he hit the jackpot, with a massive $3.1 million win in the Michigan lottery. Living with his wife and 3 children, Hurt was set to receive his fortune in 20 annual installments of $156,000 each. The future looked bright for this dedicated family man from Lansing, Michigan, but what should have been the beginning of a happy new chapter quickly spiraled into one of the most tragic lottery winner stories of all time. Just 2 years after his big win, Willie's life had completely fallen apart. He developed a devastating crack cocaine addiction that sent him into a downward spiral. His marriage crumbled under the pressure, leading to a costly divorce that ate up a large chunk of his lottery winnings. To make matters worse, Hurt lost custody of his children during the bitter legal battle. By the end of 1991, the millionaire was completely broke. But the story doesn't end there. It gets even darker. In September 1991, police were called to a boarding house where Hurt had been staying for about 3 weeks. Inside, they found 30-year-old Wendy Elizabeth Kimmy dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Witnesses reported that Hurt and Kimmy had been on a 2-day alcohol and drug binge, and according to prosecutors, Hurt became enraged when they couldn't find any more crack cocaine. In a shocking turn of events, Hurt turned himself in and reportedly confessed to the crime. His attorney, Malik Hodari, later claimed that Hurt had no recollection of making or signing a confession. A judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation, and Hurt faced the possibility of life in prison if convicted. Oddly enough, Michigan Lottery officials stated that even if convicted, Hurt would still receive his annual lottery payments. Talk about a situation where money truly couldn't buy happiness. What happened to Willie Hurt after these events remains unclear, as the case hasn't been made public since those initial reports in September 1991. What is clear, however, is that within just 2 years, Willie Hurt went from celebrating a multi-million dollar lottery win to facing a murder charge with empty pockets. Is the lottery curse real? Willie Hurt's tragic story certainly makes you wonder. Number 3. John McGuinness. Ever dreamed of winning the lottery and buying your favorite sports team? Well, John McGuinness did exactly that, and it turned into an absolute nightmare. 1997, this ordinary hospital porter from the UK hit the jackpot with a mind-blowing $10 million win, about $16.3 million in the national lottery. Like many winners, John immediately quit his $150-a-week job and started living the high life. But John had one specific dream that would eventually become his downfall. Being a massive football fan, he decided to invest a whopping $4.9 million to buy his favorite club, Livingston FC. Talk about following your passion. There was just one tiny problem. He had absolutely no idea what he was getting into. What John didn't realize was that buying the club meant he'd become personally responsible for all of their debts. And boy, did they have plenty. While the team enjoyed some success on the field, even reaching the Scottish Premier League and winning a League Cup in 2004, their finances were a complete disaster. The spending didn't stop with just the football club. John gifted over $3 million to close family members, bought a $500,000 seafront apartment in Mallorca, splurged on Caribbean cruises, and traded his battered old Vauxhall Astra for a $140,000 Ferrari Modena Spider. At one point, he had 6 luxury cars in his driveway, including a Bentley and several Mercedes. He even spent $200,000 on his lavish wedding to Sandra in 2003. But when Livingston FC crashed into administration, John's personal fortune had been used to guarantee the club's loans, and they all came calling at once. By 2009, just 12 years after his big win, John was completely broke and $2.1 million in debt. The fall from grace was spectacular. His $500,000 family home faced repossession, his luxury cars were seized, including a Porsche over a $35,000 debt, and his once unimaginable wealth had vanished. John and his wife Sandra were forced to apply for council housing and look for jobs again. As one friend put it, he went from millionaire to someone who's had his car repossessed in no time at all. Looking back on his disastrous football investment, John admitted, "I probably was a bit naive and perhaps made a mistake, but I got involved with the best possible intentions." A classic tale of how not to spend your lottery winnings. Number 4. Alicia Battle. Ever dreamed of winning millions in the lottery? Now, imagine pretending you won. That's exactly what our first winner did. With a plan worthy of a Razzie Award. In 2003, when the $162,000 Mega Millions prize was looking for its owner, Alicia Battle had what she thought was a brilliant idea. Noticing nobody had claimed the prize after a few days, she decided she'd be the lucky winner. With one tiny detail missing. She didn't have the ticket. But Alicia didn't let this small inconvenience ruin her plans. with the most straight face ever, she marched to the police station and filed a report claiming she bought the winning ticket at a convenience store. But oh no, she had dropped her purse in a snow-covered parking lot and lost the precious paper. Her story touched the local community. Several people even offered to help, digging through the parking lot snow looking for the golden ticket. After all, who wouldn't help someone who knew all the winning numbers because they were birthdays and ages of family members? What Alicia didn't expect was that the real winner, Rebecca Jemison, a hospital operator, was just getting legal advice before coming forward. And when Rebecca finally appeared with the ticket in hand, Alicia's house of cards collapsed faster than luck in a casino. Rebecca, furious about the lie, said something that should be framed. I want to make one thing clear. Luck has nothing to do with this. It was a true blessing. The most incredible part? This wasn't Alicia's first rodeo. With legal problems, her record already included credit card fraud, keying cars, and even assault. Seems our friend had a special talent, not for winning the lottery, but for getting into trouble. In the end, Alicia was charged with filing a false police report, adding another item to her impressive collection of legal problems. And thus ends the story of our first winner, who forgot one important detail. To win the lottery, you need to, actually have the winning ticket. Number 5. Americo Lopes. Talk about the ultimate workplace betrayal. This next lottery winner took the concept of finders keepers way too far, and it cost him everything in the end. In November 2009, a group of construction workers from New Jersey had been pooling their money together to buy lottery tickets for years. They trusted one of their colleagues, Americo Lopes, to purchase the tickets for their little lottery syndicate. Little did they know, their trusted friend was about to pull off one of the most brazen lottery heists ever. When Americo bought tickets for the group on November 10, 2009, one of them hit the jackpot, a staggering $38.5 million in the Mega Millions drawing. But instead of sharing the amazing news with his friends, Americo kept it completely secret. He quietly claimed the prize as if he'd bought the ticket with his own money, receiving a check for $17.43 million after taxes and opting for the cash option. To cover his tracks, Americo suddenly quit his construction job, claiming he needed foot surgery. His trusting colleagues believed him and wished him a speedy recovery. But Americo's perfect crime started unraveling when, months later in March 2010, he couldn't resist bragging about his luck to one of the group members, Daniel Esteves. He told Daniel that he'd won the lottery, but claimed it happened after he'd quit his job. Word quickly spread among the former colleagues, and one of them decided to check the Mega Millions website. That's when they discovered the devastating truth. Americo had won, while still collecting their money and buying tickets for the group. By the time they took him to court, Americo had already spent about $5 million of the winnings. He'd made a $145,000 down payment on a $1.5 million dream home in New Jersey, a 5,000-square-foot mansion on a leafy cul-de-sac. He was paying down a $378,000 mortgage, had bought a $35,000 Chevy truck, and had generously gifted about $250,000 to family and friends. In court, Americo claimed he wasn't even friends with his co-workers and had bought the winning ticket separately from the group's tickets. His former colleagues were shocked. They testified they were close enough to visit each other's homes, and one of them had even helped Americo fix up his house in 2008. The jury didn't buy Americo's story. In March 2011, they ordered him to share the winnings, awarding $4 million to each of his 5 co-workers. After splitting the money and accounting for what he'd already spent, poor Americo was left with virtually nothing. The ultimate lesson? If you're going to cheat your friends out of millions, maybe don't brag about it later. Number 6. Peter Kyle. Imagine winning almost $10 million in the lottery and still ending up broke just 3 years later. That's exactly what happened to Peter Kyle, a retired Royal Artillery gunner who became one of Britain's biggest lottery winners in 2005. Pete was 52 years old when his lucky numbers 3, 8, 27, 38, 44, and 46 hit the jackpot. These weren't random picks either. They were the same numbers he'd faithfully played for years. The win netted him a staggering $5.1 million, approximately $9.8 million at the time, instantly transforming this modest pensioner into a multi-millionaire. Talk about being on a lucky streak. The very night after discovering his lottery win, Pete went out to celebrate with friends at a local bingo hall in Devonport and promptly won another $500. As Pete himself put it, "I've always had a bit of luck of the Irish." With his newfound wealth, Pete wasted no time embarking on an epic spending spree. First came a fishing boat and some tackle for his favorite hobby. Then the big purchases started rolling in: a $40,000 Mercedes, a $40,000 Range Rover, another $20,000 on a 4x4, and eventually a massive 5-bedroom mansion in an exclusive area of Plymouth for $550,000. But Pete wasn't content with just buying a fancy house. He completely transformed it into a palace of luxury. He knocked down the coach house to build a double garage for his fleet of cars. Inside, he installed a bar, a full-size snooker table, an indoor swimming pool, a hot tub, a jacuzzi, and a steam room. As Pete proudly declared after his win, "Everything I see, I can afford." Unfortunately, that statement proved horribly wrong. Pete was burning through his millions at an alarming rate, approximately $5,500 per day. With that kind of spending, even millions don't last long. Add in a few bad investments, and the money evaporated faster than morning dew. By 2008, just 3 years after his life-changing win, Pete's mansion had been repossessed, and he was reportedly living in a budget hotel room costing just $18 per night. From owning luxury cars and a mansion with a swimming pool, he found himself working as a caretaker at the hotel, cooking breakfast for guests, and allegedly collecting disability benefits. Pete's spectacular fall from fortune to poverty serves as a sobering reminder that winning millions doesn't guarantee financial security, especially if you spend like there's no tomorrow. As one of Pete's friends aptly summarized, "Now he's got nothing, and he even owes cash." Number 7. J. Vargas. When 19-year-old construction worker Jonathan J. Vargas from South Carolina won a massive $35.3 million Powerball jackpot in 2008, he seemed destined to become one of the rare lottery success stories. Not only was he the youngest person ever to win the Powerball at the time, but he was also the first winner from South Carolina, making him an instant local celebrity. After choosing the lump sum option of $17.3 million, about $14 million after taxes, young Jay initially appeared to have his head on straight. His early plans sounded remarkably sensible: buying his mother a house, setting up trust funds for his siblings, quitting his construction job, and even hiring an accountant, who happened to be his aunt. He also planned to engage a lawyer and financial consultant to help manage his newfound wealth. With these responsible intentions, Jay seemed poised to avoid the notorious lottery curse that had claimed so many winners before him. But alas, the temptation to pursue outlandish dreams proved too strong for the teenage millionaire. In what might be one of the most bizarre lottery spending decisions ever, Jay poured a significant portion of his winnings into creating Restlicious Takedown, An all-female wrestling show featuring scantily clad women portraying outrageous characters. Partnering with Johnny Caffarella, who previously hosted Glow Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and wrestling legend Jimmy Hart, Jay apparently had visions of becoming the Hugh Hefner of women's wrestling. The young millionaire even adopted the alter ego J.V. Rich, appearing in the show's trailer as a rapper surrounded by female wrestlers in revealing outfits. Unfortunately for Jay, television critics and viewers were less than impressed with the show's combination of tight clothing and dry humor. After just 13 episodes of scathing reviews, Wrestlicious Takedown was yanked off the air, taking a huge chunk of Jay's fortune with it. As if one failed entertainment venture wasn't enough, Jay also reportedly invested in his own dating show, where he searched for the one among 20 contestants, despite already having a girlfriend. In the show's trailer, he admitted, "When I won this money, I never planned on getting married, ever. I was like, F that. Then I met Shauna. At one point, I did wonder if she was with me for the money." After these spectacular failures, Jay Vargas disappeared from the public eye. His current whereabouts remain unknown, leaving us with yet another cautionary tale of lottery dreams turned to dust. From construction worker to millionaire to failed wrestling promoter, all before his 21st birthday. And there you have it. 7 lottery winners who turned their dream tickets into absolute nightmares. From faking wins to blowing millions on female wrestling shows, these cautionary tales remind us that sudden wealth doesn't guarantee happiness. So next time you buy that lottery ticket, remember, winning might be the easy part. It's what happens after that truly determines if you're lucky or not. Thanks for watching. And maybe think twice before spending your hypothetical millions on moon real estate. Loved these lottery losers? Hit subscribe now for more crazy true stories every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment telling us what you'd do with millions.